Did you guys see this? Bare knuckle boxing just made a huge announcement. Now, I woke up to this. I woke up to a text message today from Chris Camozzi, but I thought Chris was giving me inside scoop. I didn't know he was telling me info that was out there, and it was just this, that Eddie Alvarez signed with bare knuckle, that Eddie Alvarez was matched up and is going to be fighting Chad Mendes. Also, that Luke Rockhold signed with bare knuckle, that Luke Rockhold has been matched up and is getting ready to compete with Mike Perry. This is what Camozzi tells me, but I didn't know this was public info. And my jaw kind of dropped. That's a big deal. Both of those. In and of themselves are very surprising for a number of reasons. But Eddie Alvarez returning to take on Chad Mendes under bare knuckle rules. Okay. Luke Rockhold returning. Luke has been a very sought after free agent. Of the free agents that we've had, and I'm even bringing boxing into it. I'm bringing in Deontay Wilder, Francis Ngannou, Nate Diaz, Luke Rockhold. It's a very small pool of elite, sought-after names who have not found a home. Of those guys, the first to come off the board is Luke Rockhold, and he does it through bare knuckle. That was a surprise to me, and a very pleasant one. I am very interested in that match. Mike Perry has arguably been the surprise of 2023, 2022. When he went over to Triller, Perry was supposed to lose, and he took on a former world boxing champion, just to remind you. Then in bare knuckle boxing, he takes on MVP. And just to remind you, we didn't give Perry any kind of a chance, we the community. And it wasn't even because we dismissed Perry. None of us thought Perry wouldn't be in shape, he wouldn't be ready, that he didn't have the skills, he didn't have the heart, that he wasn't tough enough, he didn't have the grit. None of us thought any of that. We just thought that MVP was too good. They're going to go out in a game of I touch you and you touch me, and I try not to let you touch me as you try to let me not touch you, right? I mean, it's a pretty straightforward game they're playing, and we just thought MVP was too much for him. So I will bring to you that Perry really was a surprise, and Perry looked like he was going to get rewarded for that in the form of a possible match with Jake Paul that would just have a whole bunch of money and a whole bunch of eyeballs and attention to it. And we all kind of understood that. Like, something good needs to happen to Perry. So now you've got Perry versus Luke. That's wild. That's two different weight classes. Luke has fought as far as 205 pounds. Perry fought most comfortably at 155 pounds. So you got to bring these guys together for one. And then you got to understand what's happening here. Like, let me give you a different perspective. Most of the things that we see in the sport here that we love are to lead you to MMA. They're all in the pursuit of MMA. We've seen a number of fighters stop what they're doing and go and do grappling. Whether it was Submission Underground or Polaris, or some of the really elite guys trying to pursue Abu Dhabi. But while they were doing that, they were openly telling you it was because of a bigger and more grand goal, which was to perfect their skills to go back to and carry over to the sport of MMA. Now, I don't know if that's what's happening here. I will just suggest for you, if there's any weakness that Luke Rockhold has ever had, it is that he exposes himself. I don't know if I've ever seen Luke have a fight with somebody when the contest is over, where I can look at myself and really believe the other guy was better. That includes the Bisping fight. That includes Yoel Romero catching him. That includes his latest fight with Paulo Costa. I never really watched those fights and then went, oh, that other guy's just better at fighting than Luke. Not really. Luke would take some very big risks in those fights. And within those risks, he would set up an opportunity for the opponent, and those opponents would seize the opportunity. But it was always things that Luke had done. Possibly nothing more obvious than the night he dropped the strap to Bisping. He had his chin down, I apologize, his chin up and his hands down. He did. He would kick with his hands down and his chin up. Now, he was trying to give a certain look. He was trying to set Bisping up, but Bisping stepped in season, took the belt away. And I just bring to you that if there's anything that Luke could do to perfect his MMA abilities, it would be to go out there and do something like bare knuckle boxing. Do something where there is no ability to put your hands down, to put your chin up, to take your eye off the target, to blink, to not be in good position at all times, to not be following the golden rule. If I'm touching you and I'm not letting you touch me, I hit you, I get out of the way before you hit me. I mean, there really is nothing that I could see as an analyst that would help Luke more in his MMA career than going and doing something like this. I just don't know if that's why he's doing it. I don't know if Luke has ever thought about anything that I just said. I don't know that Luke cares, right? I mean, he's always marched to the beat of his own drum. He's a really handsome guy that's about to go in there and just let people punch him in the face. Like Luke does things that other people would guess that he isn't going to do. So I just think that it's very compelling in that regard. Is this a step along the way, or is this his new home? Is this his new sport? Almost everything Luke does, he does well. He has a couple of bad habits. He cannot bring those bad habits in there to bare knuckle, and he damn sure can't bring them with Mike Perry. I just think that's a very compelling match. And then you had Eddie Alvarez. Where's Eddie been? Right? I mean, Eddie's won a championship in every major organization, has spent the last few years in Singapore with one championship, but is now back home. And he was pretty open to say, I'm looking for a place. Maybe that's with Poirier, maybe that's with Chandler. Maybe I'll go see what they're doing in the PFL. I mean, you know, Eddie kind of kept to himself. And so when this announcement came that it was with bare knuckle, it made a lot of sense. Not to mention that's what Eddie does best. Not to mention against Chad Mendes. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. I mean, you want to talk about putting your best foot forward? This is it. Bare knuckle boxing. You guys like it? Are you on board? Do you think it's something you can get behind? Here's where we find out. Right now. If I have not piqued your interest in telling you you're going to see Mike Perry versus Luke Rockhold and you're going to see Eddie Alvarez versus Chad Mendes, if I have not piqued your interest, we're just not the same guy. There's nothing that I can do in the future. This is it. This is the one. April's coming. These are huge, huge announcements.